So, Mark, you have a job, correct?
I do.
And you hate that job.
No.
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay. So step one, as a Midwesterner,
as a Midwest,
and a man from the Midwest,
Midwest man, if you will,
shouldn't talk about my job at all.
Yeah.
Just be grumpy.
Yeah.
However, with your coworkers, and maybe your friends.
Yeah.
And all you out there are my friends.
Yeah. Your friends.
So we're going to talk about it.
Especially you unshucked version. Or you unshucked listeners.
You are my favorite friends.
Yeah, you're
still my friends.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
Everyone's my friend. Everyone who listens
to us,
I
love
you're
you
my
all
friend.
Equally. But
except the ones that we love more. That give us money.
I love your money more.
Yeah, your wallets.
So I'd give you a kiss. I'd give your wallet a kiss.
Yes.
The other ones just get one kiss. That's it.
Yeah, they get a forehead kiss.
Yeah.
Bit more platonic.
I think at this point we don't aspire. We don't. Our target audience is no longer the casual Midwestern.
Yeah. The casuals, they've turned off generation. Yes. We're the millennial and Gen Z Midwesterners. That's what we're going for.
I don't accept these titles. They're probably true.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're going for.
Is it?
I guess.
Is that what we're stalking?
Welcome to the Stalk, everybody. Play the theme music that I haven't found out yet.
Jibby jibby jabba
no.
So, my job.
Mark, you have a job.
Warehouse. I do warehouse
sling
work.
hogs.
Stop saying that. There's no pigs at my job.
You and
it's your chickens, goddammit.
You and your sloshing of hogs.
He just randomly texts me that. How was the day hog slinging sloshing going?
Hog slinging slosher.
So I do warehouse work for a egg farm. I pull orders and deliver those orders to sites. Usually that just means somebody says, "Oh, I've run out of this and I need it right now."
He does that.
It turns out I've run out of 4 different other things. Let me call the warehouse and ask them if they have those things. Because I didn't buy them there last week and I've totally forgotten already. And then they'll call and ask, do you have paper towels? Do you have pens? I need highlighters. I'm out of highlighters. What do you mean you're out? Did you realize did somebody take all of them last night? Or have you been running low for a week and a half?
Who's sniffing all these highlighters at night?
Why haven't you ordered more highlighters? I swear this is the only blue highlighter I have. Considers doing work without a second thought for another week to 2 weeks.
He's sniffing them
and
at
then
night,
goes,
I tell you.
I can't find my blue highlighter. Warehouse, I need my blue highlighter. Did you buy any? No. Do you have any? No, we don't have highlighters in stock. Not since the Great War. And just gonna have, where do I get it? Wherever. I don't care where you buy your highlighter. Go to Amazon. Go somewhere. Everyone loves Amazon. Buy it from Amazon. But then, if it's something like paper towels and stuff that we do have, we get this. We get a big list. They ask for a couple things, or they get a big list and they say, "I'm gonna come pick up 2 or 3 different things because those are the things I'm out of right fucking now." And then they show up and they'll ask for 2 or 3 things, and sometimes they'll ask for some other stuff that's not on what they ordered, because right now there is a software that they open up, create an order by pulling all the items out of it. It's not like you write down whatever you want, like a grocery list. You make a grocery list out of the parts available for the vendor you buy it from. And if they're buying it from us, we're their vendor. So they'll buy a bunch of different things from us on their list. We look at this list and go, yes, either you were able to buy this many dollars of items in one instance, or you're boss said, go ahead, spend that much money. So if you show up with that order and say, can I get, 4 blue crayons and a pencil sharpener, and it's not on your list, you're not getting those things. You need to make another list with your crayons and your pencil sharpener. That's how that works. Because either you or your boss need to approve that, and I need to see it go through there because my boss will kick my ass if it doesn't go through. So they do like to show up. They like to order only when they're out, show up to pick up some of the things instead of let us pull the order and deliver it, which if they only pick up some of the order, I still have to pull everything else and deliver it. So if they pick up 5% of the order, it wastes my time. If they picked up all of it, it might save me time. So different sites, like there's all the barns with all the chickens, and then there is a plant where all the eggs go into, and they get washed clean and sorted, and broken ones get thrown out, so on and so forth. If the plant picks up all their stuff, I still have to go visit the same area, like we're talking 20 yards away, to drop stuff off at the barn. So in the end, it kind of doesn't save me anything because I do not have to trip back to do a wash or anything. I'm in the same site. There's no biosecurity issue. I go from the barn, then I go straight to the plant. It takes me fucking 1 minute to go dock up, 2 minutes to dock up. So if they both pick up all their stuff, or one of them doesn't have anything ordered, then it saves me time if the other one picks up all their stuff. But we get a lot of visits all the time. Mechanics do it too. And recently, I have not been a mechanic, but I occasionally try to think about it through different people's shoes. If you spend the day as a mechanic, the machine gets wobbly. Something gets off. It makes a funny noise. You look at it. The bearing's going. The spacer's shot. There's a bolt's missing for some reason. A brush has broke off. There's a support arm that's snapped or is now bending or something. Various things rattling, shaking, breaking, whatever. If it's still operational, they may operate like that. But if you leave it to operate with shit pieces, broken parts, you might create extra strain or wear and tear on neighboring parts or related parts. So if a support beam is broken, the shaft that support beam helps hold, the whole assembly that spins, that gets to shake more, which may ruin the bearings faster. And depending on how bad that is, that means you either get to replace the bearings a half a year sooner because you keep doing that, or you end up having to replace the bearings later that day if there's something that gets replaced every month instead of once every year or two. So leaving broken parts for longer causes excess wear and tear. Not always, and sometimes it's negligible and it's not really noticed. But they don't have a good tracking record of how long some of these parts last. It's in their head. So we have a mechanic that's a perfect example of making sure the machine's running at optimal speed. Thank you, truck.
Yum.
So he visits the warehouse approximately 3 to 5 times a day. That's taking 10 to 20 minutes every time he's there to show up, search the shelves, grab the part, put in an order while he's there. We get a photo of the part before he takes it, and then he leaves. I like to round up what I call that a visit. I like to round it up to 30 minutes. Because he just did that, I have to process that too. So maybe he's only in there for 10 minutes, but I at minimum have to take another 10 minutes to make sure I get the photo. Or make sure that I get the photo attached to the order, find the order, scan the order out, file the paper. We're not completely paperless for that yet. If we are, it'll shave a little bit of time off. But there's more to that process, so I round up to 30 minutes because sometimes it takes longer. The average is about 30 minutes because of that. Someone shows up, they have a couple questions, a couple parts, maybe a part they want returned. They brought a part with to ask if we have it. They don't know what it's called, yada, yada. Doesn't matter we do have issues with language barriers, but not huge ones anymore. But it wouldn't matter in this case because somebody called this, 205 bearing housing 2-bolt flange pillow block, which you wouldn't call it that because a flange and a block are different things. But someone could switch a couple of those words around.
It's a different
the way
part.
I worded it implies that you're going to get the part that the bearing goes in, not the bearing itself. If I worded it as in, this is the bearing, or I call it a pillow block bearing instead of calling it a bearing pillow block. Bearing pillow block means you're going to get a bearing in a pillow block. If you call it a pillow block bearing, pillow block bearing, you're going to get the whole thing. Bearing pillow block, you might just get the block, but you got to put the bearing in it. The block doesn't go bad that often. Usually not. Sometimes the bearing fuses to it if it gets damaged. But depending on which word you put first and stuff gets really confusing, especially in this case where we have a lot of Spanish speakers where sentence structure is reversed.
The syntax doesn't exactly transfer over.
Not very well. Not always. And even if it didn't, it's still confusing as hell because I'm looking at some old descriptions of parts and I go, who the fuck wrote this? Who the hell decided to call it this? And they have an order of how they want to say things for a description, but the order doesn't always follow that. Sometimes it's a direct copy of what the vendor called it, and the vendor called it something stupid. So we buy it from like a distributing center, and they call it like broom bristle 12-inch. Okay. Are you buying bristles for a broom? No, you're buying a bristled broom that's 12 inches wide. Okay. We kind of figured that would be the case. However, when all of them are called something like that, it's a little confusing when you have 10 different kinds of brooms to buy from them. So if we call it that, it helps because you'd be able to talk to the vendor, but no one else should have to talk to the vendor. Internally, if you buy something from a vendor that we already buy, they tell you, can't do that. They take it off your list, and they either make it for you or they tell you to make a new one for us, for the warehouse. Because supposedly or theoretically, not always the case, we will be able to buy in bulk. And if we can buy in bulk, you can both save time by picking it up here at the warehouse, or you can save money because we bought it in bulk in the first place. That goes even farther in the fact that the company is part of an umbrella company. The umbrella company wants to buy a huge amount of supplies and split it up between its warehouses. So if they can standardize some equipment like the broom, and they say, this is a great broom, it's what everyone uses, and that vendor can keep up with us, we're going to buy 1,000 brooms from them and split it between the 10 warehouses we have. Because at that rate, we can bargain to get a broom at 60% of the price. So if we can get a broom at 60% of the price, that's great. It'll just stop us from having to buy it multiple times. We take a bigger hit right there, but we also get a tax reduction on doing big hits like that.
Tax reduction for buying in bulk.
Yeah. Warehouses get to do that. I'm not 100% sure all the details, but it's something like companies get to do. They get to buy supply in bulk.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with...
Companies can do things basically, that you as a person cannot.
That's right. I think it has to do with economical stability. I can see there being an issue of you don't have enough money to play around to either increase job creation because you're not expanding. Although usually companies expand by consuming smaller companies, so I'm not sure if that really increases jobs. And to be honest, if it's conglomerating, they usually tighten up on their jobs. They kick out people that aren't doing a good enough job or people who have failed to streamline processes. They'll spend more money, but they'll end up paying for less people. In a long term, it's usually cheaper that way. But if they can, they'll buy, it's the smart thing to do is to buy equipment that will make things go faster rather than paying for another person.
Yeah.
The warehouse that I'm at used to run with 4.5 people. Although theoretically, I could say it ran with 4 because it ran with 3 people in 2 halves. Go into that later if we want. So all the supplies and the orders they make. Let's see. The mechanics. Back to their perspective. They either fix that part, or it goes bad or ruins another part later. However, sometimes that means the machine has to have downtime. They're supposed to avoid downtime because it's a game of avoiding downtime because downtime costs potential money. They don't think they call it potential money. I call it potential money, but it's money you would have made there. But instead, the machine is down. Theoretically, you should have planned in roughly how much downtime it is, nor what you're going to have on average, like a year or whatever, or a day. The idea is to not have any, of course, because that's better. But if a mechanic... Hold on.
Bless you, dear sweet summer child.
I'm trying to prevent this from rambling, but it's kind of just turning into that.
Rambling.
If a mechanic, instead of visiting 5 times at the end of the day, purchased the 5 parts they needed to buy all at once, it would take only 2 to 5 minutes between each part to acquire. And I'm going to call it 2 to 5 due to me having to scan it out later, not just them having to pull it off the shelf. In the future, they will not be able to touch the parts and only will be pulling them off the shelf. Kind of used to be that way. Get to that later. But that's only increasing that much time rather than me having to punch a new order every time they do that and them punch a new order every time. If they have plenty of time to do it, it's no sweat off their back, but I do not. And it takes a decent toll on the other people at the warehouse. What I'm annoyed by is that 90 to 120% of my time has to be taken up by me doing my job, which means if we want 100% of what I need to do, which is pulling all the orders and delivering all the orders, that is going to need to be given help from other people, and I will not be able to help them. If it's a 90%, that gives me time. Time to answer a question, time to help somebody else with something, but I'm the one who's going to need the help the most often. I'm personally uncomfortable with the idea of asking people to help me. I'm okay with it now, but overall, I don't like doing it because to me, it feels like I'm failing to do my job. But as long as my boss is aware that that's what I need to be doing, and I have been told, then you need to ask so-and-so to do it. And right now, the job layout is going to be a supervisor, which is going to be they're going to call it a lead, I suppose, but it's a supervisor. Supervisor, lead, both, I don't know, whatever. Their job's going to involve floating between the tasks at the warehouse, fixing, improving, and upgrading things at the warehouse, which is something that basically upper management's going to ask for. The floating is going to be the daily tasks. And a couple other things that they'll probably be doing, which their own daily tasks would be something like maintaining or improving daily relations between other departments. It's really far too much like government shit. Just department to department. I don't like it. Just because I see it that way now. It's like one country to another country, trying to communicate, sit in a board and talk to each other and try to convince each other and get each other on the same page. Weird to think that we have that divide and there's only like 8 people involved. But whatever. Also functions as a representative for the department in that way. But that's kind of the daily work. We can't get along well with maintenance if we don't have our relations improved or maintained. Bonus, if they like us more, they might prioritize the work we ask them to do higher, but we don't give them an emotional reason to say no. Other than that, I guess if they are on the same team as you and the same opinion of things, in a board meeting of some kind with multiple departments, you now have another ally for your opinions or your perspectives. Someone who understands the way that works. The more people that understand it all at once, the smoother the solution will be. It's annoying that it's handled that way instead of... I don't know, instead of what? I just expect more out of people, maybe. Rambling on that. We have the other position would be receiving. Everything that comes in and everything that needs to be returned or mailed out to another location. Basically in and out mail. Except for me, it's in and out from our sites to the warehouse. For our receiver, her, it's in and out from our company to somewhere else. Another company, affiliated or not. She also semi-prioritizes handling the window because we have window for the pickups. What we really want, and people are too stupid to really do this anyway, is to send the order in, have it sent in, and show up with a reasonable amount of time for us to have seen it and pulled it. I'm pulling so that I can go deliver. If you sat me in the chair to pull everything that came in, I could be pulling them minutes as they arrive. I could be pulling them for people who show up. It could be done for every pickup. But I have to deliver, which means for a couple hours I have to stop. And I have to print out a bunch of stuff and not even bother, like, at multiple sites. Let's say site 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've pulled site 1, 2, and 3. I'm pulling site 4. Site 1 sent in 2 orders. They're here to pick it up. I haven't looked at it yet because I've already pulled for everybody else. If you continue that cycle, I don't stop pulling.
You don't stop.
Don't stop pulling shit off the shelf. You have to stop or else you can't get stuff out to their site. It's a bit of a balance too because you want to send stuff out to the site so they can get their stuff, so they can shut up and leave you alone. But, and trust that you will deliver them stuff at a fairly rapid pace. However, it'll take a while to rebuild that trust. And if they themselves, I ran out of pens, I ran out of paper towels, warehouse, do you have them? They're going to be down all the time if they're being unprepared. If they are not aware of how much supplies they have. And they're going to do that a long time forever. We chastise them here and there. But we try to do it in a joking manner because we want to be friendly.
Keep good relation.
Yeah, the only way we do it differently is have somebody with the company values, the company man, the goody two shoes. I love the company. I have no friends, kind of person.
See, Mark, I know a movie you would like.
Is it American Psycho?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, yeah.
How to Succeed in
Classic,
Business
so you
without
haven't
really
seen it.
try.
Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie.
I mean,
I'd also be a
heard
book.
it, but I don't remember anything about it.
I remember telling you about it. And you're saying, ew, I hate it.
Yeah, I still hate it. Just because I said that once, so I'll trust myself.
I know. I'm gonna force you to watch it. I know where you live, Mark.
Then I'll trade for you, and I'm gonna make you watch Zoolander or 3 different episodes of Ernest.
Okay. I have no idea what Ernest is.
I need to watch Ernest Goes to Camp with you fuckers.
Right.
I have to.
Oh, and I also need to show you Duralius and Associates. I haven't seen that for like 8 years at least.
Huh? I don't know what these words are.
It's an old YouTube series that used to be very funny, and I don't know if it still is.
Go back and it's just did not age well.
Yeah.
And terribly racist. Didn't realize it.
Darn heck. Shucks.
It's filled with anti-Semitism and racism. It's terrible.
The film of
the jokes aren't that funny.
The filter of use, whatever.
Yeah, and you were like, yeah, poop joke, really funny. Yeah. Oh, no, he was referring to the infrastructure and where the money's being delegated due to religious purposes and the the border conflicts. Oh, that's far more deep and less funny than poop. Shit.
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
I liked it when it was just a joke about poop. That was much funny.
Yeah. Anyway, you bad mouthing the job, yeah?
That's more breaking it down, but I am bad mouthing the issues we're personally having,
the bureaucracy.
And it's the issues you're gonna have with humans. I suppose.
Mark just hates people. He wants robots.
The problem is that robots are made by humans.
Right.
I'm not saying a robot making another robot fixes that either, because a human made that robot to make another robot. There's no fixing. And if you turn all the robots sentient, they're just another race.
Yeah.
It's not inherent that they will be better than you in their foresight, planning, material resource, and all that jazz. It has to do with either how they survive, their priorities, and how they handle all that. And you go, it's a machine. They're free from the priorities that we have. Yeah, but they'll have different priorities.
They don't. I saw a thing where
I'm not saying it's
it was complaining. Well, a guy was discussing the like AI in films and how they technically can't want anything because they don't have a need to want that.
Yeah, like
they don't have emotions. We don't know how to program emotions,
they can have a directive that they wish to achieve.
Yeah. Well, they're told to achieve. They don't wish.
Yes, but they accept that they can work. They don't accept it, but they have.
But they can't.
They have that goal, and they're
right.
They're mathing it out.
Right.
I think the most of the AI goes crazy is the idea that it either creates a method of doing so that is so unorthodox with what the original intent was that it causes a problem.
Yeah, there was one thing I saw where a guy was saying...
Or interferes with our desires.
The one fear of AI is, like, you build a machine or an AI to make as many paper clips as possible. And it will calculate and it'll start making paper clips, and then it will determine that resources are going to other things than making paper clips. And people are using resources. Gotta kill the people because they're using resources that could otherwise be used for paper clips.
And that is the wild problem that could occur.
Right.
And you tell them, hey, and this is kind of like software planning. You tell them, hey, you can't cause harm to humans in whatever you're planning.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, these you know how sci-fi say there's the 3 laws of robotics, which aren't fucking real.
Right.
They could be laws that are instated by the government to be enforced and instilled into the code for every AI or machine created. Sure, but it's not something robots inherently have. Some people just, for some reason, think
you have to build in the ability to determine this action would hurt a human.
The shame is anything they do, they could see is this hurts a human.
Right.
Excessive labor hurts a human. Emotional stress hurts a human. So-and-so hurts a human. But then they could re-rationalize it.
Yeah.
This hurts a human, but it does not kill them. So when is it hurt if it doesn't kill them or disable them? And if this pain they go through is how they result in growth, is growth comparable or better to the pain? And then how do you match the pain? You're asking a robot to understand all of society for you to make a judgment for an open-ended thing like make as many paper clips as possible. That's an open-ended goal that you never achieve that goal. You just attempt to achieve more.
Right.
You know what would be really funny?
What?
a story, it's post-apocalyptic, whether it's in the setting post-apocalyptic, but you come across a society and something like that where there's just seas of paper clips everywhere,
Right.
and you're like, what happened here? Oh, well, regardless of how the society and the people fell, one of the last things they were doing is developing AI that had an endless goal.
Right.
Or that is something that helped to deter them to a problem. So you know how sometimes when everything might peter out, like in a game or wherever else, you see the end, the aftermath, where things get overmade in one area,
Right.
or the idea that if in real life, let's say half the world is bombed, the other half of the people are like, I still have a job to go to tomorrow because the economy hasn't been affected yet,
Right.
and I want to eat tomorrow, which means I have to go make, jeans that have holes in them
Right.
on purpose. So I'm going to go
Well,
do that. It may not be the most important thing in the world, but I have to go do that because I'm going to get paid until my boss says I don't. And if I don't get paid, I can't buy food. So you do weird things that aren't your priority for survival because that's how the economy works in that setting. So the idea that there's an excess of things that are totally not necessary for that stage of extinction of your people are being done anyway because the economy's falling apart. It doesn't fall apart in the most efficient way.
Right.
So the idea that there's like a city just filled with paper clips or totes of paper clips that have been stacked everywhere. You know how Wally
Yeah.
he packs garbage and he starts packing them into like
skyscraper
making buildings out of them.
Yeah.
That the machines are just stacking and getting more creative on how to stack and store their material, and the material's just paper clips until they all start to wear out. Imagine that, except instead of humans filling the world with trash, they've been wiped out roughly around modern standards, and all of those bricks are just boxes of paper clips because the machine's been using every bit of metal resource it can get its hands on to make paper clips.
Right.
And then you start seeing plastic paper clips and other kinds of paper.
Right. Wooden paper clips.
Wooden paper clips. They've invented 6 different kinds of paper clips that humanity has never invented because they've run out of materials.
Right. Okay. For some reason, the recording says 3210 and it's not changing. I'm going to stop it and then see if it actually records and it's just not doing that.
We've lost everything.
Yeah, probably. Okay, we've restarted the recording. Yay!
Woo.
Anyway.
Hi, welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome back.
I'm glad you waited for us.
Thank you for waiting. Also, I remember something where one thing about robots making other robots. I read a thing where a guy had made he trained an AI to do whatever job he was supposed to, whatever coding, checking for something, I think. And it turned out that the robot the AI made another AI to do that. And then later that AI made another one. And the only reason that AI didn't make another one was because it had been too watered down to actually do that.
I'll walk into 40K nerdum for that.
Oh, yeah.
So there was... I'll paint the general picture because I know you're not super into it. Humanity had a golden age.
Wow.
And then it received a dark age due to a loss of technology and a crash of society. It was interstellar gold age.
Ooh.
And it had the peak of AI serving humanity and humanity alongside it. There are more things and lots more details that I don't know all about, and they obviously haven't released every detail, so you don't know everything.
Yeah.
There's speculation, fantasy, and entertainment with that. But there are men of iron. They were created as AI. They were created, or not as AI, but they have their own AI. They are created basically as a sentient being on their own. they now recently released basically the space dwarves. They have their own like major motherboard, which is in charge of their like faction. I forget exactly what it's called, STC or something. They come to it like a governing king for all of their answers.
I
It's a
see.
far more harmonious understanding, though, and it generates solutions to problems. And the reason why these space dwarves are short is because
They
there
don't
were
drink their milk.
benefits in having a smaller being, because
Right.
one of the major reasons is
Less energy.
all of your architecture can be shorter,
Right.
closer to a more square shape, which would be more durable than a rectangle, which is more likely to flex along the long edge. So, in building ships and buildings and whatever else, it's better, and the being itself could be considered more sturdy if it was shorter. But it also made it stronger and whatever. And these machines create the species, they spit them back out. They do not reproduce, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
There might not even be women specifically,
Wow.
or technically men. It just one
I see.
sex. And they also had like robot species. They kind of work like a corporation in a way. And there's maybe there's a couple of them. There's like 7 or 13 of them, and they have different values and stuff. But they do occasionally meet. The machine governs and does all these solutions. This is an AI. It has the memories and all the stuff of the beings that get put back into it. So when you die, they take your body, they chuck it back in the grinder. The grinder is the AI, and it parses all the data from the being, strips the DNA down, and reuses it to make another person.
Interesting.
All
So
that information
where do
that
they
being's
get
ever collected goes into the data.
Where did they get the original meat stuff? Or do they just throw like a deer in there every so often?
I mean, they could have just thrown other things in there, and you can throw other things in there, but you also don't just throw meat stuff in there. You throw metal in there, you throw crystals and whatever the hell you find. You can throw material in it. It will produce and make stuff. So it's like the best manufacturing thing.
I see.
And usually, I think they build like a spaceship around it, basically. It's part of the spaceship or something like that, or it's part of a place that's on a planet. I suppose it could technically move. I don't know a lot of the details on it, and only one book has come out on the rewriting of these guys. So, but that AI itself has far too much data in its head, and it's having issues parsing it, both in an efficient amount of time or taking long-term or short-term memories that don't need to be there and removing them. Because humans sleep and they parse the useless information and get rid of it. And under duress and stress, humans will throw away information they do not need.
Right.
So if you've been stressed for this week, you don't remember what you ate for breakfast 2 days ago. It's not fucking important. You do remember in great detail the things you're worried about, but nothing else.
Right.
Or very few other things. Sometimes you can hyperfixate under stress as well, and so certain things you will have details on, and other things you will not. Certain degrees of stress I was under before, I'd remember what pen I used to write notes with throughout the day or the previous 2 days. I know what pens I've touched. Had to do with that stuff I was doing, had to do with work. But I knew what pens I had used. But if you asked me if someone had come in that week, I probably couldn't. I'd tell you or say I'm not sure if they have or haven't. But if you ask me how many pizzas I made or how many this I did or how many whatever, I might know those. Your brain gets picky and choosy on what's important. So some people under stress will throw away the information they're supposed to be receiving that could be helping them. But as far as parsing and handling that information goes, that is something that AI doesn't always do either.
Yeah, it's why my computer
That's also how I build a mind for AI too.
So many terabytes worth of storage.
It slows down.
Yeah, it gets bogged down.
It does. And It does. I like our computers do not have. I mean, you can put them into sleep, but it doesn't have like a do something like that mode.
Right.
It's defragmentation is the closest thing to that.
Ooh.
And what's the other one? Basically, where it reorganizes all the files.
Yeah.
It takes all the files and instead of having them in multiple spots around your disk, puts them all next to each other. But we have solid state drives now. Yeah, reformatting.
I should.
So defragging and reformatting are two closest things to what sleep is.
I wonder if I should do that because my computer is kind of slowed down.
I do it every now and again. Your computers are supposed to do that a little bit. They do it actively a little bit.
Right.
Which is why sometimes your downloads get funny because it's moving more files.
Right.
At least that's how I've seen. Because I'm like, 20 megabytes. Yesterday took me 10 seconds. Or it took me however long. Today takes a lot more time. Why? It's moving stuff.
Well, I mean,
if you delete a game or delete a file, you might have the space that it goes, I'll just fill it in right there.
Well, sometimes my Chrome just, like the videos on YouTube start not wanting to play. Like I click it and then 5 seconds later it'll decide, oh, you clicked it, okay. Or just load really slow and I look at the patch
and that could
manager.
Just be a fragmentation issue with where your software is being stored.
Right.
It's skipping beats like a record.
Maybe I should go through a defragging process in my computer.
And the reformatting, like just getting all the software in the same spot. I had issues where a certain thing that I had downloaded for a long time that's updated multiple times. It was probably a game. I think it was a game. Updates many times, so there's different parts of that around the disk, and there's stuff in between it. That download one photo that's in between that shit.
Yeah,
theoretically.
I need to.
They also have stored space. So if you download something that's like, say, 20 gigabytes, it might require you to take up 30 gigabytes of space and reserve it for itself. So it has room to put new data in and then take the old data out, or put the new data in and rewrite it and then reformat it to fit in that data that it's asked for.
Right.
Otherwise, if it spreads it out everywhere like sand in a jar of rocks, it's everywhere.
Right.
And it takes far too much energy, time, and effort to pull data from one spot to another. Yeah. And asking your read-write disk to fucking pull that information and have the disk spin that fast to keep up, at some point becomes silly. And if it just skips some of its software checks while it's doing that, basically like, check if this is and that is, if so, do this, check if nothing happened. We don't have a protocol. The whole thing's frozen. It doesn't work anymore.
If I do another,
format it, it'll check fast enough.
Ever rebuild my computer, just straight out get a new computer, and like use new drives. I think I might just go with solid state because those would be faster. My current
they'll reformat faster too.
Oh yeah, my current computer, the Windows is on a 1 terabyte SSD, and then I have a 2 terabyte disk drive, regular hard drive.
I've been sitting on a 3 terabyte SSD for
that'd be nice.
Like a year.
Yeah, and I currently have 23 on my SSD gigabytes left, and 168 on my other drive. I might just get another, like maybe terabyte or 2 terabyte SSD, just so I can move all the Steam games off of the main one. And maybe just have that be the Steam thing. To put all the games on that.
Yeah, that would be better because like your photos can operate just fine on a disk. A lot of your software will just be fine on a disk. Maybe your video editing software and stuff you'd want on the SSD, but
I think
games are high demanding things.
I think I'd want the programs on the SSD, and then maybe the files on the other thing. Like if I make I don't know.
My computer is made entirely out of external drive. I have a 250 megabyte SSD, and
Your
everything
computer's
else is
made
on
out of
external
string
SSD.
and duct tape, Mark.
Is this your computer? Yes, it is a USB bus with 10 half terabyte drives plugged into it.
It's
They're
got an
just
Arduino.
external disk drives.
I have an Arduino that is my CPU. It burns every few days. I just buy a new one.
I resolder it every week.
It just keeps melting.
So, yeah. Well,
So anyway,
AI.
you said
I just think having AI make other AI is silly. But it is funny because I was going to continue with the Warhammer thing.
Yeah.
They had an issue with AI in the Golden Age.
Other
things that I've seen during the Golden Age is they had AI, like every person would have like their personal AI, or every machine that they bond with has AI.
Real quick.
Yep.
Is this kind of like what we're dealing with now, where like Gen Alpha or whatever they're calling it, the little like the toddlers nowadays are having trouble reading because they're growing up with iPads and they know what pictures are, and they can just ask Google things instead of having to type it in.
Oh.
So they're having trouble reading.
It's theoretically possible. However, we're talking like you get a Google Glass assistant.
Right.
Each one of you has one. And for your job or your task or whatever, or just your existence, you and that AI, kind of like an Iron Man Jarvis, is assisting you all the time and is either teaching you and growing you or taking care of where you're lacking, paying attention for you, handling other things. Right. Your brain is being used as a hardware and an interface, and there is a marrying of both benefits from either, well, you could almost say either species, from an AI to a human.
Right.
But there, in the modern world of Warhammer, there is an understanding of levels of AI and how autonomous the AI is. So when you told me that there is an AI that created another AI to do its job, that created another AI to do its job, but that AI can't, that AI is at the level of autonomous that the Empire in the modern age of Warhammer allows. They allow one that isn't autonomous by itself. They do, however, to shackle it more, they use the remains of a human mind, sometimes an animal mind, and use that as hardware. So it cannot
only run so many calculations a second.
Yeah, so it's capped in a sense that it can't reproduce itself, or that it cannot outdo its own coding. I'm a little confused by the details. When the idea was made, I'm sure the specifics didn't actually exist, but there is weird space magic and stuff, so could be a part of handling it. So they have things, example, called a servo skull. It's a skull with some anti-levitator things. The whole thing probably weighs 8 pounds.
Like a human brain.
Like a human brain, but there's probably most of the brain is gone, but the skull is still there. And there is something to do about the way that the soul of the body is part of the machine. So it's perhaps the human soul itself is bound to the machine, and that's what helps keep it from derailing from its original intent.
Right.
Because the soul is immaterial, it's not physical, but if that is something that the physical machine cannot alter, then it cannot change itself because that is its original coding.
It's like making an AI out of a brain scan.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, I guess it's kind of like putting the software in the machine, or putting the software in the machine. The AI that runs it cannot alter its own AI.
Right.
It's this machine that can alter itself and reproduce that humans are afraid of. Right. But yet some people say, yeah, go ahead, let's make a machine that can do that, or let it do that. To be fair, we don't have as much modular abilities, but we can also train ourselves over various days and compare what we did 3 weeks ago to now and what is working better and isn't, and change the way we do our diet and so on and so forth, and have better results. But we are limited to that. The unlimited potential that machines could have is concerning for our own safety. And the AI in that world is generally limited at the modern age because there was supposedly a revolution. However, some old things like AI or machines, like I mentioned, the Iron Men, or was it the Iron? I don't remember what it's called. But they're their own unit, their own entity. They basically are a species in of themselves. They could have been around since then. There's a couple that have.
Like Doctor Who's Cybermen.
Kind of. I don't know how old they get to be, but the Cybermen have bodies in them. These Iron Men do not. However, the ones I was talking to you about.
I mean, Cybermen, if I remember right, they got a little bit of brain cheese in them.
They do have a little. That is like the servo skull stuff, but they're kept stupid. There are more advanced things that are more like that, yes. And it's... I think at capacity, that's more like what the Golden Age AI was like. The individual would be doing their job better because their AI would be assisting them in all their needs, including assisting them with medical analysis of their own body and all sorts of other things. So if you had an AI that could teach you at whatever it's designed to keep you mentally at, as well as administer the materials you need, the vitamins, do a medical analysis of you. You basically, a lot of things that society requires of you today, or things that society provides you, this AI and its equipment, save for the material and the resources outside of its own equipment, will be able to sustain you. The AI may say something like, "You're low on vitamin B. We do not have enough of that material resource. You will need to go find a material similar to it, or we will go scan various materials." The data I have said, "Oh, this flower grows in the climate you're in on this planet. If you obtain that, you could eat some of it, or you could deposit it in something, and then they will parse the material and feed it to you." I'm not saying that's exactly what everybody had, but that's the idea, that you could be very autonomous with that. You wouldn't be. I think you'd still be involved in the entire conglomeration of the human race in a similar way that we are today. But hospitals wouldn't quite be the same way that they are now, because general maintenance of the body could be taken care of by your own Google Glass assistant, if you will. So a lot of the older species, or the older things that have witnessed the Golden Age, which isn't a lot, the Golden Age of humanity, claim, or when that subject is brought up, they say, "You know nothing of what happened. You are afraid of what you have not seen and what do not know." So there possibly wasn't an AI uprising from various ways that other things have referred to it or mentioned it, but there was possibly just an uprising of people that are able to take care of each other in such an extreme way that they were able to affect the galaxy and humankind on that big of a scale, because they have such advanced technology that every person has an AI working for them to complete and accomplish a goal. And you know how much people fear AIs right now. You have an AI tied to each individual human that can help orchestrate between other humans, or that could at least put the potential of a single human being on a different level, drastically above what humans could be today. They could have better bones, better agility, better muscles. They could just be straight up improved in so many ways, not just mentally, to be such a danger. But mentally, they could be astounding. Your AI could have radar and shit. You could know where anybody is with advanced technology within 2 square miles of you. and you barely know how to read past 5th grade level, but it doesn't matter because your machine compensates with your issues.
Right.
Or you're blind, but it doesn't
reads
matter
for
because
you.
the machine wires it to your eye, wires it into your head, or whatever adaptation that you've been given, or implements that you've been
Augmented with.
put in you. Yeah, augments you've been given. There's not a lot of details on that, so I am saying a lot of what I believe to be true, not 100% of what I know to be true.
Yeah.
But the comparison for modern AI is that the modern AI is not solely sentient. It does not have the ability of emotions. And if it gets sentience, which to some degree, like animals are sentient, how sentient do you need to be what we call an AI?
Right.
It's very much different level of how things are. And that's, I think, part of the reason, even in the old age of the Warhammer universe, they would tie minds together with AI. Lots of machines would do it too. In the modern age of the Warhammer universe, there are things called knights. They are giant utility equipment that not necessarily was utility to begin with. It could have been more military, but they've been changed as time goes on. We're talking many stories tall, but they've been adapted or altered as time goes on. The AI inside that machine helps design the entire structure of how the planet takes care of itself. It keeps the humans in that planet in a feudal state where the person who drives this machine is in charge of an area or in charge of this place, and their mind and the machine gets to meld together and kind of work together. At some point, the human burns out and a new one needs to go in. But we're talking years. But it's required for the machine to work that way, and the machine doesn't patch that concept out, even though the machine may have put in different implements for them to be able to defend the people, the vast amounts of people that they're in charge of. There's still that melding, and that's tech from the golden age that used to be that way. That may have been maybe not as crude or as dangerous as it is now when they built it, and it is meant for things like, it's just a mining implement for this planet. 10 of them were put on this planet because they were supposed to mine, test this, that, and the other thing. Shit went down, that was left over there. The AI just kept spinning. And that's how we got 1 million paperclips on that planet. Except instead of paperclips, they developed gravity guns and attached them to the machines, and now they skateboard with reduced gravity things on their feet. They just ice skate around and beat the shit out of things that are as tall as they are and shouldn't be on that planet in the first place.
I see.
So I feel like that kind of wraps around a little bit to the paperclip.
Right.
And how AI can be left
Right.
over after society's gone. And how incomplete it could be.
Right. How did we get here from?
We started talking about my job.
Yeah. I said.
And then you said I don't like people.
Yeah, you said
and then
you
we
don't
brought
like
up
people.
AI.
You like, yeah.
And
you
then
want
we
people to
compared
replace
AI
robot. Yeah.
with. I compare it with this because there's a lot of different ways they show off AI.
Right.
And this literature has to do with reflections of reality.
Right.
Kind of like DC Comics does a lot of that too. It has to do with reflections of emotions of the mind. Great writers have been writing for years, and there are hundreds of books for just the Warhammer universe.
Right.
Lots of people have come up and thought through these concepts. It's not just a fun story of take Knight A, Knight B, and have them fight. It's what part of your mind, to what extreme do you get this personality, and how does that interact with the world around it or a world that's in a certain environment? They twist on various things. It's poetic and intriguing. It's an exploration of the mind, which is why I like to use this as comparisons, because by that same metric, we do that with time travel. What's time travel like? Does it create paradoxes? Does it create alternate universes? Just explore the stories people have talked about to get yourself the ideas that are possible, unless you want to go learn a bunch of theoretical physics and either have the same answers or no better answer because you're not better than the best person who understands it out there or the group of people that understand it out
Right.
there. You might as well just use, especially since we're just two white guys on a podcast.
Yeah.
Might as well refer to poetic writings instead.
Yeah.
Better for the layman.
Yeah.
But
So when... Yeah.
I think AI as a Google Assistant is going to be the best form of AI possible.
Right.
When its goal is to make that person do the best it can.
Or to...
But it could get out of hand.
Yeah. Or maybe... Well, I like the AI that it can run all the calculations for... like, this would be the most optimal structure for... I don't know, like a car chassis.
Which would be good, but you have to put multiple experts' worth of data in there.
Yeah.
I think that's something that people forget.
Yeah.
Because I have seen some videos of AI generated this motor, and I go, wow, that's neat. And then 3 minutes in, 5 minutes in, they say there's holes here where the fuel leaks, and I'm like, right. That is an amazingly huge oversight.
Right? Yeah, it's not that good, but yeah.
Because if you've seen the AI art,
yeah,
the fingers ain't in the right spot.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's replicating off of the information it's been given.
Yeah.
And if the AI doesn't, like, AI art usually isn't, it's not intelligent, but it is
AI
learning
art
from things.
The leap it has made in like the past year or two.
Oh, it's
immense.
A lot.
And there
of
are pictures that
are
really
well.
You can. It could easily be real. Like
its
fingers and everything are right.
Deep fakes were the beginning,
right,
of this step, and now we have issues. And actually, there's some people that take precautions to do not do anything with my bank or this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Don't do it over the phone. You can't do that with me. Why? Because I said you can't. I have too much vocal data on the internet.
Right.
They can create an AI that could get you to do things enough, or create a voice and have it say something using my voice.
Yeah. If we ever get big, I'm going to have to do that to my bank.
You will never get that big. Love to get that big. Stalk.
Yeah. So anyway,
Unshucked listeners, love you money to death.
Love you money.
If you want us to get that big.
Yeah. You can help us get big.
Tell your friends. Huh?
So anyway, my job, I work in an office, and I take I digitize microfilm.
You're going to be replaced by AI.
Yeah. I maybe could. I don't know.
Nah, probably not.
No, I've already done the easy stuff.
It's too complex for a machine to have that many joints and do that many different processes.
Right.
And understand everything that you've had to learn. Like, they have to create a machine that can learn all that faster than the amount of years you've been alive, or equal to the amount of years you've been alive.
And to be fair, you would have to put in enough data in there manually to train it that you might as well just do it yourself.
Yes.
Because have to read
but if you
signatures
can reliably
and type
do
those
it in the process.
And let me tell you, signatures back in the day, they didn't make those to be read.
Are you past the age of local public schooling is no longer there?
No, I mean it's there, but it's like back then they didn't have to print the name or type it out. They just had to.
Oh yeah, is it just because everyone said signatures were okay, but then after a while we said, I can't read this.
Yeah, because I mean,
I swear they only started doing that within this year of 2000.
And then my father goes, "Oh well, you should have learned cursive in school." I mean, they taught me how to. They taught me how to sign my name.
Let me show you how cursive works. This is how you write your name in cursive. Did you write yours? Okay, now give me that piece of paper. they look very different because everyone who writes their name gets lazy as fuck within 2 years of writing their name for
Right.
official purposes.
Right.
And it looks like goddamn scribbles.
Sometimes
or
I leave a
people get
letter.
excited to
Like,
make it
sometimes
cool.
I accidentally leave a letter off my name, or it just ends
I
in a squiggle.
usually forget the second letter of my last name.
Yeah.
Not intentionally. It just
You have
I
a
do
two-letter.
similar
You have
action.
a two-letter last name. You forget half of
Yep.
the letters.
I got one letter.
Sometimes it's just like a big loop and then a little squiggle. What is that supposed to be? I have to guess.
A doctor.
Ugh.
And to be fair, if just signing perfectly is because it's kind of like a combination code,
Right.
or a fingerprint is your signature. The way you write it, even if it changes slowly throughout the years, you could track that change
Right.
if you wanted to. Not that anyone was probably that meticulous,
Yeah.
but you could compare them and say, this looks a lot like
Right.
how this person's been signing it this last year. We're going to pass it.
And
or
then sometimes
something like that.
they put like a stamp over the name, over the signature, and I'm just like, what do you want me to do? There's no
Fantastic.
adjustment in contrast or brightness that can make this right.
Yeah, well, nobody also thought, should we make this legible for someone in the future?
No.
Nah, no one's going to open this.
Yeah. And
They did it
sometimes
for a long time.
there are papers that go with other ones that are a few cards on a different card, like a few ones later, and I have to go back and I have to scan this one on that.
See, that's the forethought that you can't just have a machine understand.
Yeah,
it's also not forethought that humans don't have either.
And
humans don't have this forethought. They don't think that far ahead. They go, I need to fix the solution now. Smarter people will think ahead, but the smartest things humans do is create a system in which will grow itself.
Yeah.
That way.
And the job, it's not a hard job.
It's estimated people.
It was real easy when I started, because it's sitting at a computer for about 6 hours a day.
Putting stuff on a scanner.
Yeah, but the thing is, doing that day after day for over a year now.
I'm not going to say it's not tedious.
It hurts my brain. At like 4 or 5 hours into the 6 hour day, I just start getting a bit restless some days. If I didn't have my phone listening to music and podcasts, I would go insane.
Oh yeah. I finally made it to the point where I don't actually listen to a lot of music at work, but that's because I'm just busy.
Yeah, and it's not like sitting at my own computer because I'm engaging my brain. In my job, I have to find the two names on the thing that matter, type it in, scan it, move the scanner over to the next picture or next page on the card, scan that and just do that, then new card, type it in, and do that for 200, 300 times.
Woo!
And there's no problem solving going on there besides, this page is a little dark. Up the brightness a little bit.
I appreciate you greatly for doing that, though.
Right.
Because you I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
I like
there are
order.
there are
I like
some
repetition.
that are absolutely impossible to get at a decent brightness because when they were originally filmed, it was like so faint you can barely see it on the card when you hold it up to the light. And I can't make it look good without washing out all of the text that's on there.
Or has it degraded, like, in the sunlight or something?
No, it hasn't. To be honest, there are some cards in there that I doubt have been touched since they've been put in there.
Different kinds of ink?
Yeah. I don't think
Different
so.
kinds of material?
It's like it's the same type of card, except at one point they went from putting 3 cards, or 3 pages, or 3 or 4 pages on one card to putting 30. I'm in the 3 to 4 pages on a card, which is... It's easier because they're bigger pictures compared to 30 on one card, and if you... it's just easier because when you have to move it You have to move it more so it's when you adjust it physically in the thing, it's less of a disturbance. Or if there's a little bit of dust on the card, it's smaller.
Yeah.
And if you have to stop in the middle, like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, I need to go home, I can stop at a card instead of at a page in the card.
Yeah. You can feel like, oh, I need to go home.
Yeah, and
I'll just be here for 2 more minutes and finish this page instead of 15 more minutes.
Yeah. And thankfully, there's becoming less. I'm working back in the age, so it's getting older and older documents. Like, there were a few, 250-page documents on those 30-page cards. And it's easier to go, oh wait, did I just scan this picture? I don't want to have to go in and go into the file, or to the actual document file, and page through 100 pages just to see if I've done this page. I'll scan it again and I'll just go on. Because it's... And sometimes I get into a little funk where I keep forgetting, yes, this document, it goes over to 2 pages. It still has the timestamp whatever on it. So, which in my mind makes me think, oh, it's a new card. I'll finish this other one off and save it. So I have to keep going back. Because I usually turn off my mind when I do this thing.
And you ruined everything. Right. You will be fined millions of dollars at the end of this year.
Probably. But it's still better than working at Dollar Tree, I'll tell you why. My first job, I worked at Dollar Tree. He's just working with
people. What? He's just working with people sucks.
Yeah, it did.
Isn't that what it is? And that's the same issue I'm having at my job, mainly, is because I still have to fucking work with people, right. And they're the ones causing the issue. That doesn't mean the machine's going to fix it, but...
Right. Well...
just quick note on that. We have new tech. Like I mentioned, you put in an order into a software. That software was designed by people. We now have a couple other issues related to that. If someone needs to pick something up that it's emergency, they submit the order. It costs $7,000. They can only approve $1,000 of that expensive of an item. They can't approve anything more expensive than that. They are limited. That won't come through. I need to find it before it's approved, print it out, and scan it out, because the new ruling, if it leaves the warehouse, it has to be paid for. You used it, you're paying for it. Right. I don't care if you're taking it because it's an emergency. It's not like it's going to go in a different account. You have to pay for it. But I have to be given much more access, which lets me create orders for other people, which we do have to do in an emergency, but we are not supposed to do it very often, because if you do, you will be stuck doing it all the time because they think you can do it for them.
Kind of like how at Dollar Tree,
kind of like cattle.
You're not really supposed to buy things at Dollar Tree if you work there or something. They complain about it, apparently.
There are things about buying stuff on shift. So when I worked at Casey's, they did the same thing.
Right.
It just has to do with liability of what you can get away with, which is also why they don't let people who order stuff at my company, or generally in a lot of companies, status quo. If you order stuff for our warehouse, you cannot be the person who's unboxing them and putting them on the shelf. Because we cannot have you possibly ordering 11 when there's 10, or needs to be 10, or ordering 10 when there's supposed to be 10, and then saying there's only 8 and you take 2 home. The opportunity for stealing and misaccounting is not something they want. Although you ordered it, and if your intentions are pure, you know better as to what happened and why there's only 8 when you ordered 10, or why there's only 8 when you thought you ordered 10 but you accidentally ordered 8. But people aren't that great.
So my typical day at Dollar Tree was
hell, and then followed by more hell.
Yeah. Well,
strange individual
typically
without enough money.
Well, there's like 3 shifts typically at Dollar Tree. There's the morning shift that's like 9 to 12, 12 to 1, and then no, it's 12 to 4, and then 4 to 9. And I usually work the 4 to 9 shift. And let me tell you, it's not fun because you get there at 4:30, and either there's a big rush when you're there and you have to get thrown right into it, of like a line of 8 people that all have like 50 things
That
in their
is-
cart.
Because it's not. I mean, they're getting food, but that's because it's the after work rush.
Right. At 4:30, not 5.
Well, yeah, some people get done
Yeah.
earlier than that at work. I get done at 4:30 right now. I used to get done at 5, but other people get done at 4.
and
most of our office workers get to leave 30 minutes early.
Right.
They probably punch late hours on the end of the month, but they
Yeah.
still leave like at 4. So if you live nearby, you'll be there. And then you get a big long trickle, which we had that for Casey's. It's mostly food,
But you get there, it's either very busy or there's no one. And then the sun goes down just a little bit, so it's in your eyes, because there's no shade thing or whatever, and the store is pointed west, the front storefront. So I had to stand with my eyes in the sun, trying to scan all these people's things, because there's a big rush, and then there's nobody. Then there's like 2 or 3 people that come in, and they trickle through. And then you're supposed to sweep
mini rush every 30 minutes.
And then you're supposed to sweep the entire store with a broom and all that, while keeping an eye on the front, because it's only you and a manager. And the manager's usually just sitting in their office doing something, I don't know. And so you sweep, and you have to keep looking up at the front, because if there's somebody you're going to get, and you aren't up there, you're going to get complained to. You sweep through, you get all that cleaned up, and then you can start walking through the store, trying to find things that people pick up, walk to the other side of the store and just put down. Or what I hate even more, you go to a shelf, you pick up something, neat, you walk 3 feet over, you put it down on another shelf.
Yep. Because all of our mechanics and stuff can get into our warehouse, the same fucking thing happens. And since they have to make an order using our part numbers and stuff, we have labels on the shelf. They will take the number or the label off the shelf, go to the form, put it in, and then go put the label back. I've been paying more attention recently. Yeah. You know how well that's gone.
Yeah.
If it's anything like the parts, they're all fucked up. I've swapped around about 6 labels in the last week and a half to 2 weeks, and I've now realized how bad that is. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't that bad before.
Right. And
so we just have a couple clowns of new mechanics and stuff that don't know what they're not. It's just I'm gonna say it's just who they are.
Right.
They're not attentive enough on those details. We had the room to do it before. We do not have the rooms for that anymore.
Right.
It's worse problem than it was. You get 3 smart people working there. You do not need any fucking rules. You have 3 idiots working there. You need to lock that fucker down and hire an extra person.
And then once you get everything put away, because some people, they come with returns or whatever, you find something during the day, you're supposed to put it in a basket that's on a shelf kind of back where near the office. And then you sit there, and there's usually nobody. Then at maybe 8 or something, maybe a big group comes in, and you have to wait for them to go do all their thing. You take a 15-minute break. You have to do that, apparently.
Every 4 consecutive hours has to do.
Oh, yeah. Take 15-minute break.
Supposed to take like 15-minute break.
Yeah. And then
does the boss come out and work then, or how's that work?
Yeah. they're supposedly supposed to help when the big rush is there. Like the second cashier. There were three checker lines in the store I worked at. The third one didn't work, or it hadn't worked, or been used in years. You just stored everything on
It's
there.
only ever going to be one person and the manager. You don't need the third one.
Right. Third one doesn't work, I don't think.
Theoretically, you should have the third one working, so when one of them doesn't work, you can open the third one. But
and then 30 minutes before the end of the day, you tell the manager, "Hey, I'm gonna go clean the bathroom." And so you go into the back, you get the cart, you get the toilet paper if you need it, and then you go and clean the bathrooms. And usually they're not that bad. Oh, but we had a spat a few times of some ladies flushing down used tampons and clogging up the whole toilet, and it just filled to the brim with shit.
Yay.
Thankfully, the manager cleaned that up, so I didn't have to. He said, "I'm not making you do that."
That's nice. That's a good person.
Yeah, all the managers were, they're all nice.
If it means anything, not that you need to like them more or less.
Yeah.
The managers are usually doing something.
I know they're doing something.
And it's usually relatively important. Does that mean it couldn't be done faster, but it's out of their hands because they're part of a corporation?
Yeah, but I know they're doing something, but always just feels like, yes, I'm the only one out here.
You kind of are.
Yeah.
They're the person who will respond when someone has a gun or when someone has a complaint.
Yeah. Or if you need to open up the cash register, because I don't know if it was because I was 20 when I was doing that, I think, but I wasn't allowed to open the cash register if it wasn't during a transaction. Like, if the only time the cash register opened was when I hit the thing for getting cash.
Oh, I missed that detail. See, I thought you were just telling me it couldn't open at all.
No. Oh, no. It only opened when I had to open the...
give change back.
Yeah, give change back. And if I accidentally... if I bumped it or accidentally closed it, and it's like, oh, well, I didn't... it's the wrong change. I gotta call and say, can you open it up? Yeah, but you don't do that anymore. You gotta do it carefully. I know, but...
Yeah, do it better.
Yeah.
Stop being wrong.
Or sometimes they say, oh, I don't want a receipt, and you hit the no receipt button. It's like, oh, maybe I do kind of want that. Okay, well, I have to get the manager now. Because I can't go in and do it. They give you the least amount of or ability to do things.
Yep. I believe it.
Oh, and and then Sunday, working on Sunday morning, typically in the morning you get, like Sundays or whatever, they bring, or that's when the truck comes in, or the night before, and then you get a, like a U-cart, I think it was called, full of stuff that you bring up to the front, and then you just go and put that on the shelves, in the typical sections. Because Dollar Tree, they don't have labels for this is this amount of money, because everything's $1, or it used to be $1. I'll get to that in a bit. But everything was $1 except for a few things, like this rack of lollipops was 50 cents. And just a few things like that. And then you go and distribute that. So you did that on Saturday or Sunday or Friday, or when it was free. When the truck came in, they had stuff. But on Sunday, you get the old people that you either go, okay, you just got out of church, or why aren't you in church? You're wearing a Ketchup for Jesus t-shirt, and this is church time. I know I should be there. I ain't, but I should. But,
no, he's praising because he's not at church.
Right. And then they give you the check for like $2.50, and you have to do the whole ritual of, okay, you put the check in. You put the check.
Pocket change.
Yeah. You put the check in the little machine. It scans it through. It spits it out. You have to put it in 3 times. Then it finally understands. It puts it in. They have to hit something on the keypad. I don't know what it is because I've never used a check there. I just know they have to hit OK on the keypad, and they don't understand that. Then it spits the check back out. They have to sign it, and then the cashier or the register either tells you to give them the check or put the check in the tray. I don't know why you do either. It's random what it tells you to do. And one time I had a guy.
People pay with quarters and pennies.
Right. One time I had a guy come through. He was rushing through and he just wanted like a soda or something. I scanned him through and he gave me a check and then he just ran out the door. I was like, wait, no, you have to come back. I'd already started the check, or he started the check process thing. And so my manager came out, or came over and said, what's going on? I said, well, he gave me a check and he just ran off. So my manager had to run out and flag him down because he had, once the check thing is started, you can't stop it. And they have to, like, sign something or put in their name. And it would have shut us down for the whole day and all that.
Oh. Yeah, well,
because you'd have to call corporate or something and have someone come out and do something.
Yeah,
and he was like, what do you mean? I gave you the check. It's a blank check. You need to...
Oh, he just gave you a blank check?
It was like, I think it was signed by his mother or something who was out in the car waiting for him. And just ran back out.
Regardless of somebody just handing you a check and calling it a day, these are the kind of people that are idiots because you stop and let the person who's helping you finish helping you, and then you go.
Right.
Or you ask, are we good? Is that all okay?
Right.
And then you make a move to leave, but don't leave until they say it's okay. It's 1, being polite. 2, understanding that you're utilizing a system that someone else is providing you, so you follow their rules. Right. Because if you don't, you go to a different store.
Yeah.
And you do it their way in their place of business. If you don't like it, you find another business.
Yeah, at least we got him out of it. I got the talking to him. Okay, you have to keep him there when they give you a check. It would have been bad if you left.
You do, but it's not easy to... And you don't expect it.
I was looking at the cash register. I didn't immediately see him run out the door.
See
I
him
said, wait,
better.
sir.
And then you run out there, and then you say, get your ass in here.
Yeah. And then you have the people that leave change, and it's like, just keep the change.
You don't.
Sir, I'm not supposed to keep change anymore. It apparently puts a bad record on the store if we keep change.
We don't keep change in our drawer at Casey's either. You're not allowed to keep excess change.
Look, that used to be the case, apparently. But then they said, no, you have to put it in the drawer. You can't have a take a penny, leave a penny thing anymore. And you have to write it up, and it goes bad against my...
I do one or two things. So say, boss, how do we want to handle this? Or the second thing is, I'm either going to throw it away, because I don't need 30 more cents, or it's going in my pocket.
Right. Exactly.
Which I will get in trouble for when they find out.
Right. I know. But
if they were like, you will get in trouble, and I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble, I'll just start throwing the change away.
Right.
38 cents or however many fucking cents, change is not worth it.
Oh, and one thing. There were 2 restrooms in the back, and they both had keys. There was a men's and a women's restroom. The only difference was the toilet, and the men's was one of those long toilets. And the other one was a shorter one.
The breathing.
Now, apparently, what I wasn't told, I was told, okay, this key over here is for the women's, this one's for the men's over here. I wasn't told for a while, but you should only give the customer is the women's restroom because that's kind of the customer's restroom, and we keep the men's
What?
for our own because we think it's cleaner.
Oh,
But having to explain to an 80-year-old man why he has to use the women's restroom is difficult.
it's still stupid. You just need to change the sign. For
I know that's what I
employees.
that's what I kind of want to do, but no, I don't think that would have worked.
I'd have just slapped paper on there. I'd
Yeah.
have gotten a marker and taped it there. I
Right.
am that. That's not me lying.
Right.
I would have just said, "How we're doing that? Here you go. Here's the key to the
Customers.
public restroom.
Yeah, public
Customer
restroom. Yeah.
And it'd be taken
Yeah.
down, and I'd be putting that fucker back up next time I work.
Oh, and I hate. And I worked from, like December 16th, 2021, I think, to March something. So when I worked in the day I started was the day before. Was when we had that like derecho, and it was 70 degrees in December for a few hours, and then the power went out for 17 hours, and so I hadn't showered or anything, and then the power came on like 30 minutes before I had to go in. And they also had problems with like broken windows and the door that got blown open there. And so they said, okay, oh, you're the new guy? Would you like to come back later and do the evening shift instead?
I love it when they do that.
Yeah. And said, okay. And so I came back and, yeah, I had a first day. I was like, ugh. Especially because I'd never done a register job before in my life, you know.
Yeah,
And
well, all the new kids
$3
starting out
I think
at
it was
jobs,
$3.
they eventually go,
Yeah.
oh, I've been asked to come in 6 different times.
I think
We're
it
not
was
doing this anymore.
I think I was like $3 over or something, and I got, oh, well, that's not very good. I wanted you to have a good day. But I'm sorry, but I mean, if you didn't go that well.
And it's funny, they say they don't go that well, but there's a process for it. It gets done, it gets fixed, and I don't care if 6 different people get reprimanded in a row. It's all just baby talk reprimandation. If there's a lot of reprimanding and no processes, that means we haven't built a system that handles this correctly.
Yeah.
We're just going to sass everybody until everyone's extra vigilant, and that's how we fix the problem. Extra vigilance, because humans cause errors. You would want a machine that is consistently designed,
and then
or is designed consistently to handle that,
and there's at least
and
one
handle
time
every scenario,
when,
or a system in place that has every detail figured out. You have a rule book.
And there was at least one time when a lady like said, "Oh, okay, I got $20. Can you make change for that?" I said, "Okay," and I put in the thing, and the drawer opens. Oh, I only have 15 or something, and she, I mean, it was less than what, it was more than enough to pay, but I was a bit apprehensive because I'd like to give the correct amount of change that the machine tells me to, and not have to do the math in my head, because the machine signs my checks.
So kind of like
she said, you silly kids nowadays can't count money. It's the same.
That's a lovely person.
Yeah.
I hope they get multiple teeth knocked out.
Right. Oh, and I hate.
Guess what? It's not the same, madam.
Yeah.
Yes, the end amount is the same. However, my job on the line is not going to be the same when they're concerned about that. It should cause no logistical problems anywhere.
And what?
But it doesn't mean the company won't fire you for it. And someone that is older than you should know better.
Right. Now, what I was gonna say earlier, I started working in December.
Companies can be very
which means I had to go through Christmas, which means all of the glittery Christmas decorations. The belt, or the little conveyor belt, was covered in glitter all the time. And so many people come in and say, "Oh, I'm so bad for getting glitter. I just hate glitter. Don't you?" Yes. And just hand me like 50 flaking glittery
I
ornaments.
just knock it on the conveyor belt. Make sure that conveyor belt is sparkly all the
Right.
time. You
And
all
anyway,
get to take this
I went through
glitter aids home.
Yeah. I went through Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, and like March with all the shamrock things. So much glitter. I hated that. Oh, there was one lady who came through, and her kid, like 3 or 4, whatever, had opened up one of the bags of like cotton candy there was and slobbered all over it. It was wet. And said, "Oh, sorry. Here, take that. She slobbered on that. Okay, now don't hand me that. It
Take it.
disgust.
Take it. Take it.
Look
Look at it. Look at it.
I think that happened like at least twice. I think.
Well, at least they
like,
paid for it rather than,
yeah.
oh, I guess we can't
Yeah.
afford this. You have eaten part of it.
Yeah. There was one guy that. Oh, I need a charger for my phone. Is it? Do you know if this is the right charger for this? Sorry, sir, I don't know. Oh well, I just see. He opens it. Oh, it doesn't work. Here, I don't want that. And we have to put it for store damages.
God, look at the package before you open it.
Yeah. But he was old. He doesn't know what a thing is.
They bring you the child with you that knows.
That doesn't compare to the time that a guy brought in like a few different items to return. Because he said, "Oh, this little thing, a packaged like ham is expired. Could I get a return?" And I gotta get the manager there because I can't do returns on my own.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. First off, the meat had expired a year prior. And there were... it was a bag... The bag he brought it in was not one that we had.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, and like I think there was... I don't even know if he had the receipt. But my manager said, I could tell from like the bag or something he had. That was from a different Dollar Tree, like across the state.
From a year ago.
From a year ago. He returned expired meat.
Now, people could just be delusional and misunderstand when they bought things, but they could also just be actually insane or attempting to do this for money when you're just trying to scam some money out of people. Sure. Is the company going to miss $5? No. Are they lying? Yes.
Oh, and then I had the pleasure of working when they upped the price of everything to $1.25.
I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, everybody, almost every single person's like, "Oh, it's gonna call $1.25 tree now." And the few people that come and say, "What do you mean it's $1.25? Everything used to be $1. I can't afford this. What do you want?" And they said just to call the manager and have them explain it because, people get pissed because everything costs $1.25 more now.
People got really pissed when our donut prices went from like $1 each to $1.70. Actually, no, sorry, it started at 50 cents or 75.
Right.
And then it went to like 80, then to 90, and then it went to $1, and then tax made it $1.05, and it was like, can't we just keep it to like quarters or something? I'm like, yeah, that would be smart. However, if they raise the price too much, people throw a fit too, and then everything else.
Like every single surface in the store had a banner that said, "Everything is $1.25 now," and several people still got
let's not even begin with how people don't read
at the counter.
Just point to the sign.
Yeah.
Just mumble and point to the sign, and then they look and go, "Oh, fuck."
And then you had and then there were the featured items that was like little, like at the
Bonus meals.
at the counter or cashier or whatever. There was there's some shelves for candy to like entice. Oh yeah, I'll get that. Just throw it on the thing.
Yep.
There was another thing that we had. You were complaining to if you didn't ask them, hey, do you want a pack of 12 AA batteries? No? Okay. Would you like a pack of... would you like a bag of Hershey's Kisses? Okay. Do I need one of those? No. What? Do you want me to buy one of those? What? Why are you doing that?
No.
Why are you talking to me like that?
Economically? Yeah.
Would you like a bottle of hand sanitizer? No. Ew. Fuck you.
So
it was the most awkward thing, especially because it was also...
I just hate that companies, they'll ask you to do things like that, and you're like, you don't realize how out of touch asking people to do that or do it that way is. The way I'm already thinking of ways I would end up saying it is, can I get you anything else? And then gesture while you say candy, batteries, charger, anything.
Yeah.
And then just no, and then you just turned 4 sentences into one, and it sounds normal, and you're done.
Right. I think I figured out something
but like
less terrible later on.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Because the companies seem to come out with the most terrible to start with.
Yeah. And then I was
and related to that, I want to derail just a little bit. There is the old, the companies, the way you speak to a company manager, the way the company heads talk, the company man speaking. I don't know how to explain exactly the words, but like using phrases like moving forward, we would like to, and then saying things like
being more...
I don't know how to explain the words
PR.
exactly, but when you hear them though, you go, you're not saying what you're saying, you have a meaning behind what you're saying, and it's very obvious, or it's very obvious that it's not just the words you're saying. You're saying people fucked us up, so we can't do that, but you're saying it in a weird way. Some people eat that shit up, and managers and stuff and higher up the chain, they see those words as more practical or making sense, but it's probably because they don't go outside. They have an issue touching grass, just like all video gamers out there.
Yeah.
I don't think they touch grass. They will go visit Florida for a week every 3 times a year, but, they still have issues touching grass.
I think what I ended up was, would you be interested in our featured item at our currently featured item here? What, is it on sale? No.
It's such a pain when it's not on sale, and then you feel like an idiot.
There's no sale. It's $1.25, but you're told to do that. And it's always the stupidest shit.
I also love to hit him with the buy get 2 for the price of 2.
Yeah.
Which is not a sale. Are they on sale? Yeah. 2 for the price of 2?
Oh, and when I started, the salary was $7.35 an hour, which I think is like 10 cents. Fine, my wages was $7.35 an hour.
You're not a salary man.
I'm not a salary man.
And unless you sold your soul to the company, don't be a salary man.
Right.
Or unless you know exactly the service you're doing and what you should be paid, you're very confident about saying, I am worth this much because I can do this. Do not accept salary.
Right. When we went up to $1.25, I also got a pay increase to I think it was $9 an hour.
Wow, money bags.
Yeah, and I did the math. I was making relative the ratio of the average price of things to my salary went down or up. I was making less money per item getting sold for the price or something. My wages did not go up proportionally to what the prices went up.
Of course not.
I know.
You're not receiving a
Yeah.
share of the company, you fool.
Yeah, I know. But
How
anyway,
dare you assume you will get paid more?
Yeah. And one last thing to end off, when you know I'm gonna remember other things, and I'll bring those up and just go, another thing about Dollar Tree.
Yes, because you've been traumatized by
Yeah.
working for the what do you call that?
Dollar Family
I don't
Dollar.
know.
Same thing, just one's orange.
No. Well, yes, but like everyone who's worked at Best Buy, who's worked at Target, who's worked at
Customer
Dollar
service.
Tree, who's worked at Dollar Store, yeah. It's a customer service job that if you stay there for too long, you either turn into a manager, a shift manager, or you
Dead.
quit or you shoot yourself.
Yeah. And you see, what I did was I quit because I got a new job out of my current job, kind of.
Yay!
And
what's cool is if you do a good
Yeah.
job, you know, companies, I think a lot of companies would end up doing this, and I don't know if they will, but I see a lot of problems. You know how we talked about companies not having foresight, and
Right.
then obviously AI has not necessarily any more foresight than humans do.
Yeah.
Partly because they're designed by humans.
Yeah.
Is that you're covering for a lack of foresight in some ways. You are handling old info that was not categorized previously, or you're adjusting information
Right.
that hasn't been filed correctly. So, you know, they signed rather than printed. Now a human has to go sift through it by hand because you didn't make people sign it as well as spell it out. So now you have more work to do because you didn't do that forethought. You will always have that happen in almost everything that lasts for a very long time, but we have, here's another issue for my job by comparison. We have a bunch of chemical barrels.
Yeah.
They're all empty or almost empty, but they still have residue.
Icky.
Because there's chemicals in there, even if it's just residue, they are on a slightly different hazard scale, but they are still on that hazard scale.
Yeah.
They need to be disposed of.
Yeah. That's why I didn't take the board that from your work when you offered that had that oil stain, because I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know if it's chicken killing juice or whatever.
No, it shouldn't be. But, you know, it could be something.
Rat killing juice.
I couldn't promise you what it was. But the barrels, we have about 84 barrels is what my last count was of empty barrels. Why are they here at the warehouse? Because of two or three things. One, some dipshit said, bring them back. We'll figure it out. And they didn't. Two, they had a way, and then it stopped working. And they just kept having them bring it back because they didn't know how to solve it or didn't solve it fast enough. And whether they solved it fast enough or not, perhaps the USDA at the site said, you can't have these here.
Yeah.
Or they don't have room to put them in their chemical cages with everything else. Although not every site had a functioning chemical cage when I started. So that is the bottom of the barrel in terms of USDA things. But derailing onto that aside, another one could be that they just kept storing them there because they had no solution.
Right.
And so just keep storing them here.
Oh, the only solution they had was the residue in the barrel.
Yeah, which fun thing about most companies that sell you chemicals, they will take they'll take the barrel back when it's empty.
Yay.
Worst case scenario, you hose that bitch down a couple times and then you wrap it on a pallet and give it back to them. Right now, we work with a chemical company where once you gather enough chemicals and wrap them on pallets to equal a full semi-load, they will come pick it up.
Okay.
If you have less than that, you can't. Which we swapped two different chemical providers at some point. It's possible the reason there's so many left has to do with not having enough to equal a truck. But then no one came to find a solution. All they did was wrap the pallets, stack them on top of each other, and shove them in a building where the roof was slowly coming down. Talk about being biosecure, or not biosecure, but talk about being
contaminatious.
Having chemicals stored in a nice space that stops it from being an issue or stops it from being interacting with the environment or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that it really interacted with the environment, because it didn't like fill the barrel, overflow into the floor, and if it did, it would have gone down the drain and be diluted in the first place. Regardless, those barrels haven't been handled, so we now have to hire some Yahoo, probably just a contract worker, to come and cut the barrels in half and rinse them thoroughly-ish, and then we will throw them away, because we've spoken to a disposal company about throwing it away in regular garbage. They said as long as it's rinsed thoroughly or triple rinsed, which is a terminology for how clean something is, or it's just been rinsed 3 times. It doesn't have to be clean. I've seen the quality of some people's triple rinsing. It's shit. So I don't know if it's a great industry standard, but it's just a terminology.
Right.
But the 84 barrels. Takes 15 minutes to clean a barrel that's nearly empty. It takes 30 minutes to 45 minutes to clean a barrel that has like an inch of fluid left on the bottom. That's so annoying that it at least doubles your time with an inch of that, because what you do is you fill the barrel and you either decide to leave it there for a week to dilute really well, or you fill the barrel, dump it out, fill the barrel, dump it out, fill the barrel, dump it out, and then start rinsing the barrel, and it's foamy forever. But if it has almost literally nothing in it, it takes you 15 minutes. You fill the barrel and dump it out 3 times, and you're done. There's no bubbles. There's no nothing. You're good. But that is something you would hire somebody to do. Our company sucks at hiring people to do that.
Suck.
Well, they suck at spending money on things, and they don't want to. It's the local company that's doing a shit job. Yeah. But anyway,
to cap off this episode, I just want to cap because we're running on near 2 hours here.
What? You want to hear us complain more? See us next time.
Yeah. Well, not next time, because next time we're talking about how autistic we probably are.
And that will relate to what kind of jobs we've been in and why we hate what we do.
What's wrong?
Why we had so many problems. Because we ain't built like everyone else.
Yeah, we're built different.
Built stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, when I went to... when I was working at Dollar Tree, all the while I was still looking at other jobs, because from the beginning I knew I don't really like working here.
And most people don't. Only people that are like, I need a job to get by. Yeah. I'm a kid and I have no history of working.
Yeah, I only had a little bit of I technically had one other job before that. And maybe I'll tell that another day. But when I
have 5 jobs and they're all part-time jobs.
Yeah, when I quit
one of our cooks in delivery, she had 3 jobs almost all the time.
Whoa.
It's nuts. Yeah. She bought brand new cars too.
I was really looking to quit because I kept getting told, over in April we're gonna have a inventory where we take everything off the shelves and everyone has to come in and we have to scan every single item we have and clean the store thoroughly and do every...
How could they scanned it?
Yeah. Clean up so good that when corporate comes by to have a little inspection, they say, "Oh yeah, you're doing good." And I didn't really want to be a part of taking every single thing off the shelves.
What's a shame is it doesn't have to be a bad experience, but
no.
It's the people that don't want to be yelled at by their corporate mom or dad that they that seem to make it a bad atmosphere.
Right.
Chill out, relax.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of carts. Do it a row at a time.
Right. Anyway, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this more another time, but that's all we got. Really, still haven't talked about Mark and his Casey's.
No, yeah, well, we broached a little bit, but I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll reach it some more.
we tickled it. We teased it. We like doing a little bit of teasing here on the Stalk.
I've done inventory for that. I do inventory. I tickle your ears, in fact.
Stop it. Anyway.
Stop it?
Yeah, it's oh, we got
Tickle your
for
ears should be a phrase we use.
What?
Huh?
Huh?
Tickle your ears?
I guess.
I'm gonna push that into a phrase.
Okay, we'll work on that. We'll put a pin in that.
Tickle your tassels.
Okay, before Mark starts making any more sussy statements, that's all we got here for today, here, bud. Longest episode so far. Woo! Next one's probably gonna be 3 hours because we're gonna have to talk about every single.
Yay! That means you get to edit the hell out of it forever because.
I
you get to
love
sit there
editing.
for 3 hours and then spend another 8 hours listening to it 3 times.
Unchecked patrons. I like your version better. Cause see, what I gotta do is I gotta listen to it through it once, redact any social security numbers that we've said, and then listen to it again.
Truly awful.
Right. Then export that so I can have the unchucked version, and then go through it again, and
meticulously cut it down.
Yeah, cut it down so like
only the funny and appropriate part.
Right. For instance, you won't hear when Mark says. See, they won't hear that, and they won't. The only person who'll know, unchucked viewers. So when we get the Patreon going, we'll let you know, and you can find out.
I'm sorry, unchecked version. It wasn't worth it.
Oh, so worth it. Anyway, we're filibustering when we shouldn't.
Yeah, we're trying to really fill out the episode when it's a record length record time.
So this is the
another 10 minutes. We need to push it. Another 10 minutes.
No, it's the Midwestern goodbye.
It is the Midwestern goodbye.
We can't say goodbye.
We said goodbye 15 minutes ago. That's how the outro works. The outro is 15 minutes long.
Yeah, the outro's 15 minutes. In the little YouTube card, you know how YouTube can separate the video into different things? Like, first 15 minutes of first 5 minutes, intro. Like, the next 20 minutes, main topic. The last hour and a half, outro.
Ramblings.
Yeah.
The next hour, ramblings, off topic.
Right.
The last half hour.
Outro.
Goodbye.
Anyway. I forget how we end. I always forget how we end this because we don't do this every week. We do this every 2 or 3 weeks. We don't have a set schedule.
We'll just pretend we have a new one every time.
Anyway.
Love you long time.
Love you long time. Drink water. Be safe, happy, healthy. Love your wallet. And bye.
If you see this one, there's another one already.
Yeah. There's 3 other ones.
Well, if you're going in order,
if you're going in order,
at least one more.
At least one more. Check out, like, comment, subscribe. We haven't said that yet.
We will
if you're
be
on Spotify. That's nice.
That's nice. Are you not posting on Spotify?
I mean,
not yet.
Well, the thing on Spotify is if you don't pay whatever rental subscription, whatever, your things get taken down after like a week or so.
If you love us long time, we can put it on Spotify. You just need to ask.
Yeah, as soon as enough people do the unchucked version, then you can have it on Spotify. Then you can listen to us in the car.
If your friends say, "I won't do it," it's not on Spotify. I can't be bothered.
Yeah,
you let us know how many people you've counted.
Get it on Spotify, then get new friends. They gotta listen to the Stalk any way possible. Even on iTunes.
Throw them into the middle
I have
of
no
the
idea how to
cornfield.
use. I've never used iTunes in my life. I don't know if I could even do that.
I used to use iTunes, but I'm a grumpy old man who gets upset because my iTunes now requires internet access
Yeah.
to run any of my music, and my music has to
they're
be
listening
validated with the iTunes library.
Maybe they're listening.
Ah!
Maybe they're listening on our website where we also sell merch at some point, like T-shirts
Oh, I'm so excited.
and body pillow covers.
Worst case scenario, merch site will be not on a specifically stock merch site. It'll just be on mine.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But you'll get links and stuff.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
we'll link you.
And if it is on mine, you'll find more than just cool stock stuff. Let me throw out an example.
Oh, great.
Do you want an example?
Oh, yeah. Give me an example. Come on, hit me with it.
But it would be cool. It's a unique thing. No one sells it. I can't find it on the internet.
I see.
Only put this in the unshucked version.
Oh, okay.
Can't have people stealing without paying.
Yeah.
Don't steal the idea without paying. You gotta
pay.
pay for the idea.
Okay. Anyway, I gotta go do things so I don't get yelled at for not doing anything.
We're not doing the thing.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.